The Essential PH-1 is the first phone created from the company known as Essential Products. Founded by Andy Rubin, who was also one of the co-founders of Android, decided to create this phone for the following reasons. Number 1. Devices are your personal property. We won't force you to have anything on them you don't want to have. And that rings true, for the most part. The phone has no branding on the front or the back, the software is clean, running a stock version of Android 7.1.1, it comes preloaded with just your basic apps, no additional bloatware, and that's a huge plus in my book. You only add what you want, instead of having a bunch of shitty apps you don't need. My only gripe with this personal statement is that we're forced to use the 3.5mm headphone adapter since they decided to leave a headphone jack out.
You son of a bitch!
Number 2. We will always play well with others. Closed ecosystems are divisive and outdated. Agreed, although I'm still salty about that headphone jack. Number 3. Premium materials and true craftsmanship shouldn't be just for the few. I'm confused with this one. I mean, don't get me wrong, this phone is made with top-notch materials. Titanium, ceramic, and the craftsmanship is excellent. I mean, the first thing I noticed when I got this phone was how heavy it felt. It's solid. Actually, this phone reminds me a lot of my old iPhone 5, that rectangular shaped design and that half that weight on a phone. But when you say it shouldn't be just for the few, well, this phone is priced at $699. Not everybody has or wants to spend $699 on a phone, so technically it's still marketed to only a few. Unless you're saying the Essential is the only phone that has premium materials and true craftsmanship, but I have a handful of other phones that say otherwise. Number 4. Devices shouldn't become outdated every year. They should evolve with you. Completely agree, but it's too early for this since the Essential just came out. We'll revisit this next year and possibly the year after that. I will note though, the Essential promises 2 years of Android software updates as well as 3 years of security patches. Number 5. Technology should assist you so that you can get on with enjoying your life. Agreed, but plenty of other phones do this as well. And number 6. Simple is always better. While this might be subjective, I'm on board. I'm more of a minimalist type guy. Let's go ahead and go over the rest of this phone. Again, this phone runs $699 shipped to your door, no tax. Other than the Essential phone itself, it comes equipped with a power brick, a nicely braided USB-C to USB-C cable, a braided USB-C to 3.5mm headphone adapter, and a SIM ejector tool. You'll find all your buttons on the right side of the phone, volume rockers up top, power switch below. At the bottom of the Essential, you have one bottom-facing speaker, a USB-C port, and your SIM tray for your nano SIM. On the back, a fingerprint reader, a magnetic connector to attach accessories. So far, Essential has released a 360-degree camera, and hopefully they'll release other accessories in the near future. 2 13-megapixel rear cameras, one's your standard shooter, the other a monochrome one, but both can work in conjunction to provide a better, final, overall picture. I've already read and seen a few reviews that are giving the Essential poor marks on its camera, which is a bit frustrating for me because honestly, I would love a great camera out the box without having to always hear, well, maybe they just need to put a software update out. And while I can appreciate a company doing everything in its power to make their phone's camera better, I feel like this is something that should be polished for the most part from the get-go. But I'll invest some time and make a blind photo test video for those that are interested. This is supposedly the weakest part of the phone, but let's see what it can do. On the front, you have an 8-megapixel camera and a 5.7-inch edge-to-edge LCD display with Gorilla Glass 5. And that third edge, it looks fantastic, a trend that will surely follow suit. Inside, the Essential sports the latest Snapdragon 835 chipset, an Adreno 540 GPU, 4 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of internal storage, and a 3040 mAh battery. My overall first impressions is that the quality of this phone is excellent. I'm honestly one of those guys that prefers a heavier phone instead of that lighter and thinner trend, but that's just me. The lack of bezels and display all the way to the top is one of my favorite things about this phone, but I would have opted for an AMOLED display instead of an LCD one for its deeper blacks and overall more vibrant colors. Now, the Essential gets brownie points for having such a stock version of Android. In my limited amount of testing, performance is up to par with a number of my other devices carrying a Snapdragon 835, and the added bonus of not having to worry about bloatware, not having to worry about other things I have to sign up for or create an account for and log into to use some new gimmicky features, well, thanks to Essential for not going down that road. Moving on, in terms of design and quality, the Essential lives up to its flagship competitors. Its physical size and display is one of my favorites yet, especially compared to other phones. With about an 85% screen-to-body ratio, its screen dominates the front of the device. Its minimalism, whether it be the lack of branding or the lack of bloatware, is winning me over. Let's just see how well this camera does before I'm truly on the Essential wagon.
You son of a bitch.